Yo dudes! Welcome to Perfect Soup Every Time. These are the 5 top tips, more like rules.
They're definite rules of how to demystify soup. I wish we'd known this 10 years ago. Not every soup is unique. There's a basic format and a structure to just about every soup out there. We've just demystified it and broken it down into 5 simple rules that will help you and to understand how to make perfect soup.
Every time. Here we go. Rule number 1, start with your base flavor. So it's really important. This is like the foundation of the flavor for your soup. Generally, we'll always start with onion and garlic. If you are making a more Asian type soup, add in ginger, add in lemongrass, add in chili. But the basis and framework is onion and garlic. Make sure to fry it down at a medium heat until it starts to go translucent and starts smelling beautiful.
Point number 2, your base flavors. So for every soup, we start with just about the same base flavors. So we have our onion and garlic and whatever other ingredients in at the start. And next we go with is carrot and celeriac. I did say celeriac and not celery. I go with equal parts of them, chop them up nice and fine, add them to the pot with a little bit of salt, stir around, and then leave the lid on, turn it down to medium heat and leave it sweat for 5 minutes. Celeriac is just the root of celery. It's starchy. If you can't get celeriac, just use regular potato. Just leave the skin on.
This is often referred to as a mirepoix, which is a French word which typically refers to where you're cooking it in a pot with a lid on and you're trying not to brown the vegetable, but you're trying to really extract the sweetness. So in English, we'll generally call this to sweat the vegetables. So the salt is going to draw out the moisture of the veg or draw out the juices and allow the flavors to combine. And the lid is just going to create more moisture turning and kind of evaporating throughout the pot.
Typical mirepoix will usually have celeriac, carrot and onion. Now, ours is obviously different because we use celeriac because we prefer the texture and the taste of it.
There is one exception to that. The exception is if you are making a white soup, obviously leave out carrot and try to use parsnip. Parsnip will be similarly sweet like carrot.
Point number 3, your core veg. This is where we get down to ratios. So a typical ratio for soup, which I go off, is 2 part liquid and 1 part veg. Obviously our soups are veg based. So for example, if it's going to be a 2-litre pot of soup, I will put in 2 litres of liquid and I'll have approximately about 1 kilo of veg. So in this context, I'll probably have put in about 400 grams of, that's including the onion, carrot and celeriac. That'll basically be the base of the soup, probably about 1/3 of it. And then the next bit is, for example, if I'm making a sweet potato and ginger soup, I'll probably have about 600 or 700 grams of sweet potato. So I'll just chop them up finely, I'll leave the skins.
And how much water do you have?
2 litres.
2 litres, there you
2
go.
litres is the basics which I would typically go off.
And that's a loose framework. Obviously when you're making soup, what's vitally important, point number 4, is texture. So texture of soup, the main things that affect the flavour and the quality of soup, one is flavour and second is texture. So that's how thick it is or how thin it is. So if your soup obviously is too thick, add in more liquid. If it's too thin, add in more starch. Very simple.
By adding in more starch, the easiest way is to simply use tinned beans. If it's too thin and you want it to be thicker, I would just add in I'll drain and rinse a can of butter beans or chickpeas and add them in, and this will give it much more body and help bulk it out a bit more.
Point number 4, another part to this is that there's 2 to 3 main varieties of soup. First one is that there's a blended smooth soup, second one is a chunky soup, and third one is a broth. So with your chunky one, generally you're going to base it around a lentil or some form of a bean and vegetables. That's what I generally will do, unless you want to just have a pure veg alone. So with that, it's just about making sure your broth has enough flavour in it, and then it's vegetable based and they're just hanging in it. To make your broth
Can I make one point
yeah.
in terms of that? Just make sure and chop your veg bite size if you're making a chunky soup. If you're making a blended soup, there's no need to chop it bite size. You can leave them quite chunky because they'll just boil away and still cook too.
Okay, perfect. The best veg for a chunky soup generally I find are lentils. If you can use a split red lentil or a puy green or brown lentil, work fabulous.
And that's with carrots and celeriac or
beans
squash,
and spice, and you can season
anything
it any way you want it.
So just one more appendage to point number 4 is that in terms of the liquid of a soup, obviously a soup has a certain amount of liquid in it, and what we're recommending, it's approximately about 2 litres of soup to 1 kilo of veg. You can use water as the base if you want, or veg stock. Veg stock is an easy thing to do. You can use powdered ones, you can use cubes, obviously.
Or you can make
cubes.
your own. We got a video on how to make your own.
There's a link here to the video if you want to learn how to make your own veg stock. It's pretty simple and easy.
Alternatively, you can use coconut milk or coconut cream concentrate to add a creamier texture. In terms of if you are using coconut milk, it's probably 30% of the liquid content. Point number 5, this is really important. This is seasoning. Seasoning is seen as a dark art, and it's like, how do you season? Oh my God, only the chefs and the telly or trained chefs can do it. In essence, the most important tool for seasoning is your tongue. Taste your soup. Oh, is it too thin? Oh, it's too thin. I'll make it thicker. So add more starch. Is it too thick? If it's too thick, add more liquid to it. So get your texture right. Once you're happy with your texture, time to season it. So taste it. Oh, it tastes bland. Add more salt. Okay, I've reached capacity with salt. Next step, is it sweet? Is it bitter? Is it acidic?
I would say
Find that
next
balance
step,
with that.
add black pepper. I find black pepper brilliant.
Black pepper.
Black pepper. It uses different parts of your tongue. It can add a nice kind of sense of spice and a bit of warmth to it. I think black pepper is really wonderful. About half the amount of black pepper that I would to salt. Other ideas of how to season it would be ground cumin, curry powder. Cinnamon is a lovely one if you're interested in that. I think ginger, powdered ginger is a great one. Squeeze in some lime, zest in some lime.
Play with it. With seasoning, it's all about balance and finding harmony. So it's if you have an acid such as a vinegar, a lime, generally you might have to add a sweetness such as, it might come from sweet potato. You might have to add some sort of maple syrup to it if you want to balance that acidity. Then it's down to, you're using saltiness. You could add some tamari for an umami flavor, or soy sauce for an umami flavor.
For a depth of flavor, yes, which I typically love. Final, one last, I know we've gone way off on this one, but an appendage would be garnishes. I think garnishes are so important when it comes to soup. It's how to take a soup that tastes really good and just pimp it out and make it look fantastic.
And turn it more into a party. How to take a good soup and
One
make
thing
it
which I
great.
love is flaked almond. I think it looks brilliant just on top. You can toast them in a dried pan if you want for 5 minutes until they start to golden. Sprinkle them on top, they look fantastic. Same way with any toasted nut.
Yeah, simple thing like toasted seeds are a great one to put on it. Very simple, even a little splash of coconut cream. Other things such as you can put flaked chili on it or sliced chili on it, coriander, fresh herbs. They'll just kind of light up a soup and just help cut through it.
You could zest on some lemon, zest on some lime. Really, there's so many different things you can do, and obviously the bread is quite important if you are a bread lover.
So just to recap, first thing, sweat your onions and garlic and get your base flavor and get them banging full of flavor. Next step,
Second point, your core veg are really important. We use carrot and celeriac or potato.
Make sure to sweat them. Point number 3, liquid. Get your ratio right. It's 2-part liquid to 1-part veg.
Point number 4, texture. If it's too liquidy, add some more beans, tinned beans.
Or starch.
Yeah. If it's too thick, add some more liquid. It's as simple as that.
Last thing, pimp your soup. Point number 5, seasoning. Find that balance, find that harmony, trust yourself. If it doesn't taste good, add more stuff to make it taste
good. And final
good.
point, garnish. Pimp your soup out and make it to the next level. Thanks, Vinny, for watching. That's our 5 soup rules. I
hope you become a super soup chef.
But I wish I had known them 10 years ago, genuinely. Leave a comment below. Let us know what your favourite sloop is.
Sloop is.
What your favourite soup is.
Something we'd love you to do is hit the notification bell up there. So that's a bell. Just click it. It just means that... Oh, it's down below. Sorry. Click it when it's down below. And by doing that, it simply means that you'll get notified when a new video we publish.
We would greatly appreciate this. Obviously, thank you for watching. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. And we are sending you loads of love. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.